Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in here on this lovely, lovely last day of April, Wednesday, April 30th. And I know Nathan is getting up, and I thought he was going to go grab that 15-pound weight back there. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a 10-pounder. I'm not quite sure. But either way, we're happy to have you along on Inside the Game here. Not just inside the game, but inside the apartment, inside the office, inside our heads.
The establishment.
Watching it live on the National Soccer Network. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler. My voice is coming together ish. But either way, happy to have you along wherever you're watching near and far. And first off, Nathan, man, how you doing?
Good. Busy stretch. Because technically college athletics aren't over yet. This is the time of the year where we get to kind of like the very end, and for the most part, everyone that works in like sports information and like athletics, they're all done for the most part, and the majority of school sports are over. But obviously, we still have baseball and softball wrapping up. So I got the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference baseball tournament. So that's the NAIA. So I'm going to be doing those games over the next stretch of days. I'm also going to be covering for the Whitecaps. Also, I'm going to be doing some high school soccer here on the network. So it's going to be a fun stretch of four days here. But I mean, that's kind of what we sign up for in the summer, and especially transition season when you transition from some of the other stuff. We'll say it's one of the games tonight. It's kind of a fun dynamic to it. The second place team in the entire tournament. And I know, JT, you and I have had discussions about kind of the state of college athletics, and especially when it comes to making money. Like, the majority of them are not making money. Like, they have to fundraise or they get subsidized or whatever. And one of the biggest classic examples here in Michigan is Concordia University of Ann Arbor. They've been around for forever. I mean, they've been around for a long, long time. But starting next year, they will no longer have athletics. Actually, they're downsizing the entire school. I think they finished in correct me if I'm wrong. I was just reading the article, but I think they finished in like a $5-6 million deficit a few years ago. And so now it's kind of happening now. So the last team remaining, I believe, in their school's history is their baseball team. And so they're second place in the tournament. And I think it was Birmingham Southern at the Division I level that last year made a run to the regionals and nearly got to the College World Series. And their school technically didn't exist. It was closed down already at that point. It's kind of what we feel like. It's kind of what I feel like going into this tournament with Concordia. Like, their school's well on the way of closing down, but they're still competing in this tournament. They're the second seed, so they have a realistic chance of going on to the NAIA national tournament. So I think that would be very, very entertaining to see. That school technically doesn't exist anymore, but this team is still going and still doing their thing. So a lot of fun storylines, a lot of good stuff. These are the sections of days that I live for, because it really it provides me a constant stream of just doing what I like to do, and that's calling games. So I'm excited.
It's interesting too that colleges make these decisions about canceling athletics. I mean, if you think about like the NAIA school, I mean, average roster sizes are that far more than that of your typical Division 3, 2, 1, right? Schools, right? You're talking
Right.
about probably a roster of 40 baseball players is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even close to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's 50 student athletes. Right. Then you look at soccer. Soccer probably the same thing. They probably have a first and a second team, 50 players, right? So and they have both boys and girls, right? So you got softball, baseball, volleyball, basketball, again, the soccer. I mean, might even have hockey in there somewhere. You're talking about probably arguably close to 400 to 500 maybe athletes who play at Concordia who now not even talking about scholarships. These are just people who are coming to your school and paying your tuition and playing athletics as part of it. They're going to now want to go someplace else to continue on playing athletics. So they're going to go to Aquinas. They're going to go to, Rochester Christian. They're going to go to their universities that offer this. Bethel. You just lost 500 students.
Yeah.
Because again, these schools, there's not like money. I mean, I know it takes money to run them, but I mean, you're not giving away like 30 free scholarships a year.
Mm-mm.
These
Nope.
students are still paying, and a lot of these universities are super expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
like super expensive. So I'm kind of like it like, why are you canceling all athletics? Like all.
There's
Why?
a lot of politics involved there. And I remember even I was doing one of their hockey games, or women's hockey games. I believe it was their last one of the year. This is weird because the parent I was talking to, their daughter, I think was only a sophomore, right? So that leaves like 2 extra years where, like, I don't know, I guess there's a transfer portal technically in the NAIA, but when it
Yeah.
comes to club hockey, I don't know how that necessarily works, but that's what I was talking about with him, and I threw out the number and he was like, yeah, that might be the case, but there might also be some political stuff that's going on and some other things that have led to that. But it's a vicious cycle because that's how the majority of schools at that level, if they have athletics, that's how they run. I mean, the more that they can introduce, the more students that they can get to just come play and compete in sports, the more and that's how they continue to go. That's their cycle. Sports drives the school, which is not, in my personal opinion, that model, I think, is just, it's bound to doom you at some point. Now, with the way money goes nowadays, I feel like everybody's doomed a little bit unless you're smart, extremely smart about how you go about spending your money. But that model of, if we just, more sports, more stuff, more kids, I don't know. I think people are starting to see the flaws and the holes in that plan.
Well, and again, that's why we say not all college athletics are created equal.
Right.
And, just because you want to go play and continue, I mean, to be fair, if you want to play college athletics in 2025, it is far easier to do that than it was in 1999. Now, does that mean that you're going to be playing at the highest of levels? No, but I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it just goes to show you, that how the landscape of athletics in this country has shifted and shaped itself over, what's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I don't, I again, you would like to think that if you have athletics at these smaller colleges, that the tuition, that you could, okay, well, a college athlete at Concordia, it's going to cost them, instead of $18,000, it's going to cost them 20. So the extra $2,000 per student would be allocated from that tuition to go into the athletic fund,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's allocated, right? I can guarantee you that probably 90% of those students, if you were to say we're going to allocate $2,000, we're going to increase your tuition by $2,000 and allocate it towards athletics to cover your sports expenses, they probably say yes.
Yeah.
Arguably,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And but again,
And that's the tough thing. Yeah. Because
'cause that's
it's a passionate group too. Like they've been around for really long time. They always packed out the gym, especially for basketball games. This is something we never got at Cornerstone. We don't have pep bands. We don't have fight songs. I mean, that, to be completely honest with you, and I love Cornerstone. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they have a long history of winning championships and being really good. But that was like the one thing when you brought me down to hang out and do the Oakland game, like just being in an environment where there's a pep band and there's a lot of people there, and it's an official TV broadcast. Like, all right, this is cool. Or like when I shadowed at MSU, Concordia never had any issues packing out the gym and really coming out and supporting their team. So that's the other sad part about it, is that mishandled their finances. Those kids are going to lose out on opportunities. It's a tough world, especially in the NAI. So yeah, it's the way they had it planned out financially. Personally, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I've talked to my dad about it before. I'm like, I don't think they're the only ones. I think they're just the first ones that admitted, hey, we can't do this anymore. But I think there are other programs that are kind of maybe right on that line that are like, it doesn't look pretty. If anything, we're breaking even, but probably not even. If you are breaking even, you're doing something right. So Same thing goes for Division II. Same thing goes for Division I. It's the world right now.
Yeah, no, it's and I'm sure we'll continue to mention we'll continue to see stories just like this. But what I want to talk to you about real quick here. Last night we had a chance to cover USA SA Amateur Cup Round 1 action. Michigan Stars, Imlay City, down in Washington Township, a place that we've covered a lot of soccer games over the years. There at the Michigan Stars Soccer Center, Sports Center in Washington Township, and Imlay City comes into this game. They were supposed to host on Saturday, but due to storms and weather and whatnot, they ended up having to move the game, and they ended up playing it last night at like 10 o'clock on the dot. We covered that game, for the Stars and for the USA SA Amateur Cup on our network. John Natale was at home in Indianapolis last night calling that game for us, and I want to show this goal, and I'm going to talk about this for a second because to be fair, well, we'll play the goal and then we'll talk through this. I want to see your thoughts or hear your thoughts on this goal. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. Here it is. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And yeah.
On the free
banger.
This will be direct. See what 11 can do here. So you can't bend one in. There's a whistle. Here it comes. Right foot. And just off the upper 90 crossbar, but he retains possession. Tries it again with the volley. And that one, a more magnificent goal on self volley. Give a brace to number 11, 4-1 in the 39th minute. What sequence of soccer from number 11. My goodness.
Okay. All right. That's get it off the deflection, handle it twice, and rifle one right back on. That's that's some skill right there. I like the call from Natale too. That's good. I thought that was good energy. I thought he didn't really bring his voice beyond a point to where he was comfortable, and he delivered it well. I thought that was solid. Good job by him. No, that was nuts. My goodness.
So we need to play this again. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn the sound for a second. We're going to pause this. So what if I can slow it down here a bunch? Let's go ahead and change it to, let's go a little slower. All right. And we're going to go, hang on here 1 second. And okay. So just take a look at what happens here. Ball comes in,
Boink.
Hits off the crossbar. It goes right back to 11. Okay. He brings it. I would say it's 3-touch, right? Boom, boom. So 3-touch. But what happened here? And should this goal have even counted?
Oh. Wait, can you play that again?
All right. I'm going to let you come up with it. You got to.
You're gonna ask me if it should have counted?
Yep.
Wouldn't it be offsides?
Nope.
I guess technically not.
Why should this goal have not counted last night?
Is it something that happens in this transition right here?
No.
It's something before the play?
Well, I mean, it's during the play.
During the play.
Okay, so 11 kicks the ball. Okay, he's the kicker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What happens?
Okay. Sends it over the wall.
Okay. Does that hit another player?
No.
Okay. What's it hit off of?
The crossbar.
Off the crossbar. Where does it go? Right back to who?
The same guy that just kicked the ball.
Correct. So in soccer, when you are taking a direct kick, a penalty shot, or an indirect kick for that matter, if the ball hits off the woodwork, okay, the shooter is not allowed to touch that ball again
Wow.
until it touches somebody else. Now, if it hits off a person, doesn't matter. But if it
Right.
hits off the woodwork,
Huh.
cannot touch it. So my guess is the official here thought that maybe the player who was on the goal line maybe hit the ball with his head. I don't see it hitting anybody else. And if I am wrong,
Huh.
let me know. But I don't think
No,
it
you're
hit
right.
So this ball, when he shoots it, hits off the crossbar.
Yeah, because I didn't see
right
it.
back.
Yeah. I didn't see it touch any defenders.
Yep. And then it's a beautiful finish and very much deserving of all the accolades that go with it. It's actually very interesting too, is that he took this. So you got 1, 2, actually it was 4 touch. But he actually ends up hitting the underside of the same spot he took the original shot, which is even cooler, by the way.
That's nuts.
But this goal should not have counted.
Interesting. No one
Yep.
made a stink about it at all. No one.
I mean, at this
questioned
point, it was
but-
3-1. They ended up winning
Oh,
7-1.
okay.
In the whole
Okay.
scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. But
Right. Right.
it should
Right.
not have counted. And again, I don't know. I mean, maybe it hit off the wall. I don't think it hit off the wall at all. I'm looking here. Nope, it doesn't. It hits off the woodwork. Okay, that's his first touch, second touch, third touch, fourth touch on the volley, and in the back of the net. It's a fantastic goal. It shouldn't have counted. So, asterisk.
That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers. Well,
Yeah,
I
'cause
mean,
when
a great
when I
play
saw it in real
nonetheless. I
time-
mean, you get style points for it, regardless of whether or not it counts or not. Because I mean, that was sick, but interesting. Is that something you caught right away? Because I know that you were.
Well, when John called it and he goes, hit off the woodwork or crossbar, or whatever you want to call it. When he said that, I was talking to him at halftime. I'm like, well, I mean, just so you know, John, if it hit off the woodwork, then it would be a no goal. So it had to have hit off that guy's head. Like I'm in the moment, I'm not necessarily really watching it, but I'm hearing him say this, and I'm going, well, if it hit off his head, I hit the crossbar, this would be a no goal. You know what I mean? So that clearly did not happen. He, did it, clearly. So, but again,
Wow.
and the referee is a very, very good referee. We see him a lot. So this is so Inlay City and scoring first. This is going to be the goal here. Hang on, I'm still in slow-mo. Let's go back to normal. Ball goes through. Good ball. Ends up being a really good finish. Puts it home. Makes it 1-0. And they go up early, in this game, 8 minutes in. All right. And then obviously there were seven unanswered goals. Let's find the equalizer. Find the equalizer. Here we go. We're getting pretty close. I feel it. I already passed it. See, that's the part. Here we go. I guess I saw. There we go. My bad. There it is. So, ball kind of falls in the box, and it's a fantastic finish, right? Just inside that far post. Can't complain about that finish. And then again, it was like after that, it was like they uncorked. I mean, it was
Floodgates open.
Oh my God! I mean, this is the 25th minute. This is the goal right here. Nice little ball down by the end line. Going to slot it in. One-time touch. Goalie makes a meal of it.
And that number 11's all over the place too.
Yeah, John. John
like
talked about that in the game. We have another goal coming here in a second. We got to find it here. Nope. Might be it here. Oh yeah, that was it. So take a look at this one. There's 11 again, right? So ball far side. Looking to put this one in. Here it comes in. thought maybe that was it. I lied. It looked like I saw the goal in the back. I saw the goal go to the back, and that. So, all right, here we go. Oh, that was all. That was. I guess I was showing some of the replays from that previous goal. So that's on me.
No, you're good.
That made it confusing. So, come on now, where are you, goals? No, we'll get there. But
That's the beauty of going
go.
back through and cutting these up.
There we go.
Sometimes
This is
there you
goal
go.
number 3. Boom. We're into the bar down. Love that. I love that replace. The graphic though, that thing is nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And then boom. Right. So we come through here. We already saw the 4th goal, right? Because the goal that shouldn't have happened. Go to halftime. Come back. Still 4-1. Where's the 5? Gonna find you here somewhere. Oh yeah, they had a PK. He misses it. Had a chance for a hat trick. I swear it's coming. Maybe. Nope. Off the post. Nope. I must just go. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so that's a goal right there. Here it comes. Nice little touch. I guess I lied. Oh yeah, here we go. Boom. Open net. Goal. And let's see the next one here. Good save. I mean, Michigan Stars was just all over Imlay City last night. I think someone said it was embarrassing, the loss. I go, Imlay City is 2 years old. They allow their players play out. Again, obviously, Imlay City's 20 miles or so. That was a weak goal, by the way. That was weak. But to play you're talking about a lot of these players that play for the Stars they've been playing together for years.
Right.
Moment to kind of gather themselves. But it's just ball put over the top. This is goal number 7. Another one slotted in and just there it is. So excuse me. But that was the game last night. I think we had 100 viewers in real time watching the game.
It's good.
I think it's got close to 700 views as of this morning. So it was
probably didn't feel great for the other guys, but yeah, I mean, it being so early in the season and them only being around for a few years, like you gotta be able to take your licks. Unfortunately, Michael, what's going on, man? Good morning. I feel like you're taking the cake from Peter here. He was normally the first commenter for the longest time, but now Michael's coming in and dropping in first. So Peter's got some work to do. But yeah, I mean, is what it is. Clearly, I mean, on the other side, their ball handling and their ability to attack and what things they were doing were obviously kind of put them on the defensive. Seemed like right away. So yeah, it might be an embarrassing loss, but I mean, on the other side, that was a pretty dominant showing.
I want to address something, and I've been thinking about how to do this for probably the longest time. And when we first started this platform, not the National Soccer, but Michigan Soccer Network, I wanted to be a platform that was considered the best. Because there's something to be said that goes with that, right? We're the best. We are this, we're that, right? And when we started this, I was given an opportunity, I was called in by Neil Rule, who obviously is a big part of what we do now, and with my relationship at Oakland, Neil had what used to be the Flint City Bucks play-by-play guy back in the day. He would call their games. And then obviously before Detroit City FC, that's kind of where he got to start and with Oakland. And so a couple of summers ago, he had called me and said, "Hey, John, they need a fill-in for Flint City Bucks games. Do you want to go do it?" I said, "Yes, of course." And this is before I had any relationship with them at all. So I went up there and, I had a chance to call the game and do my thing. And I remember I went down. That's when I met the production company that was currently doing it for Oakland. and saw their setup and saw what they were doing. And I remember I went down, to the general manager and president of Flint City Bucks, named Costa Papista. I went down to Costa and I said, "Hey," I go, I don't want to like step anybody's toes, but I really think that we can improve on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I really think we can take your broadcast to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
I really think they could be better. He goes, "All right, let's sit down and talk about it." So in the off season of that after that summer's over with, we met 3 or 4 times, talked about what it would look like. And and really kind of looking at the ins and outs of the overall production, and I told him what we would do. And he's like, "Okay, perfect. Let's do it." Signed a contract.
Yeah.
I reached out to the previous production company and said, "Hey, we're going to keep you on board this upcoming year, but it's going to all run through us. Do you have any problems with that?" And he said, "No." And this is where it becomes a conundrum, right? If someone came to me and said, "John, we're taking over production, we want to keep you on," I could do this in one of two ways. I could say, "You know what? It was mine. I'm losing it. I'm good. Just do it. Right? Just
Mm-hmm.
go do it. Good luck." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I could try to make the best of it, right? And do whatever I can to make it a good partnership, because I'm potentially losing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've actually already lost it, to be fair. This company decided to charge me more than they were charging Flint the previous 5 years combined. And I could have said no, I could have been like, "No, we'll go find our own." It put me in a bind because I didn't have a choice, right? Because, we were trying to staff this thing, and I didn't want, my thought process was to take the existing, production, these people are used to doing this. Why not just come in with what we're doing and layer it up and still use the same people?
Right.
But they were charging me $200 more than what Flint was being charged the year before
Mm-hmm.
per game.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that. And I told him I didn't like it. And so last year I'm like, "I don't need you guys. I'm not going to overpay for a service, that I
Right.
don't, that I don't quite get." I mean, I'm the one they provided cameras. Yeah, but I'm providing the computers and providing, the talent, the resources. We're doing all the pregame graphics, all that stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to keep doing this. So that production company lost out on a ton of business, right? They lost out on 30 grand last summer, because that's what it cost me to produce the games the previous summer,
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand why that company would not be happy, but I can understand why that the people who worked for that organization might not like that I did that,
Mm-hmm.
but that same company has been given many opportunities to, we had taken them to Columbus, Ohio with us the year before. And they helped us with the national championships in Columbus for the UPSL, where we had paid for their travel, paid for them to go there, and gave them the opportunity to do that. And and there's been other opportunities that we've presented to them as well. And for whatever reason, those things may not have worked out.
Mm-hmm.
If I lose something because I'm not good enough, then so be it. If I lose something because I can't do it better than the next, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
If I lose something because I charge too much, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to tell you that I take us and what we do extremely seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I take it seriously, and I should. I don't take this with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday morning at 7:30 in the morning, I saw a Twitter post from USA Cup about the matchup last night. Now, we have a contract with the Michigan Stars. We do all their UWS games, all their Midwest Premier League games. This game was originally supposed to be played in Imlay City on Saturday. It got moved last night to the Michigan Stars complex in Washington Township. I texted the Stars yesterday, said, "Hey, you have a game tonight?" I go, "Do you want it streamed?" They're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do that. Cool, let's do it." At 7:30 in the morning. We didn't have a camera person selected yesterday. I didn't have anybody in play-by-play land ready to go. I didn't have a producer. That game was put together. I mean, all within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All a couple hours.
Right.
And again, we're not talking about like the world's best broadcast. We're talking about a high-level broadcast with one camera where our commentator was at home in Indiana. I was producing it in Shelby Township, and our camera operator was in Washington Township. I would love to know how many organizations nationwide could do that in that time period. And to be fair, I probably could have pulled that together at 3:00 in the afternoon yesterday. Because I didn't even start doing the graphics until 7:30 last night while I was eating some Portillo's hot dogs right in front of the computer station. It's like that's when I started doing graphics last night. We got our camera feed in to this studio at 8:15, 8:20. Sam Fisher did a fantastic job on the camera last night. John Natalia was good to go. But I also think it's important that I know that there are teams, there are people on those teams, players, that don't like that don't like that a production company that have been with the Bucks for 7 years isn't doing those games anymore. You know what I mean? I know that there are teams out there that don't like how I handled a situation or another situation. I get that. Well aware of that. I don't need people to love my decision making. I don't even need people to respect my decision making. But what am I doing? Like, what are we doing it for? You could argue it's for the money. Money is a byproduct of the work. But to be fair, I do all of this because of what we did last night. Like that's why I love it. Not that that it isn't fun along the way, but I mean like what we did yesterday.
Right.
And what I get to do 25 times a week now. And yeah, that might rub people the wrong way. But if you can tell me someone does it better than me and provide that, then great. More power to it. And the company that's doing it.
Right.
I can tell you this right now with every fiber in my being. There is not another organization in the state of Michigan that does it better than us. Right now. Now, because when I specifically talk about soccer, I'm not walking around saying I am the best broadcasting company when it comes to football. I don't get to say that. Okay? There are lots of organizations that do a very good job with that. We are not one of them. But if you're going to sit here and tell me who does the best soccer coverage in Michigan, there's nobody that does it better. Not a single entity that does it better and does it more consistently than what we do and how we do it. Period. End of discussion. I'll wait for the next person to tell me who that would be. Because there's nobody else. Now, are there other companies that do this? There are. And they do it with varying degrees of level of whatever. But to the extent that we do it and how we consistently do it, pull it off, nobody else does it better. And I'll stand by that until one day I'm sure there'll be someone out there that can. Right. And we will do everything we can to continue to be better. Right? So, and there's nothing wrong with anyone saying that. Now, if you sit here and say, am I the best production company in the United States? I am not. We are not.
We can admit that. Yeah, we can admit that.
We are not. Are we arguably one of the better ones? I would say so. yes, I would put myself up against any other company that does what we do on a national level any day of the week. But am I the best? Nope. No, I'm not. I'm not the best. There are other companies out there that do what we do that are probably better than me.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably smaller or they're probably bigger, right? But can they do what we do? Can they handle right now 10 matches at a time? 10 games at the exact same time?
Mm-hmm.
No. No. I talked with the parts company yesterday out in New York. They could do 3 games right now at a time. 3. I can do 7 right now in this exact moment out there in my 8 right now out in our control room. 8 games at a time. So I again just so everybody knows that that makes a huge difference. And then in the next few weeks we'll be able to do upwards of 25 at a
Mm-hmm.
time. Oh, the same level that you're seeing here on our that I showed you a few moments ago. We could do that exact same thing but 25 times over.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And then the other things that we do, the bells and whistles that we do that make our broadcast awesome. Awesomer than the next. That's even a word.
It is now.
So the reason why I bring this up is last night during that game, Livonia City FC, which won their USA Cup game on either Saturday or Sunday out in Wixom. They were like, they were talking about how they're going to be the one playing Michigan Stars when they win the game. And I go, if you want a high level broadcast, you should definitely have us do that game if you're hosting. Now we used to work with Livonia City back a couple years ago. Ben Rohde at the time was in charge of that team. I think Craig Beebe is back in charge of it now. And I wouldn't say we had a falling out. It's just they wanted to pay less and we wanted to get more. It's funny how that works, right? You were on high demand. And you had to start making business decisions, and
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to pay us less money than what we were asking. And I just said, hey, we can't do this. This is what we can do. And the other part too was at the time we were trying to really grow our platform, so it made it hard for us to just give away ad space. We wanted to try to give that to organizations that were working with us.
Right.
And we just didn't see eye to eye in that. And no harm, no foul. It is what it is. But it just we aren't working with them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a pretty good following. They have a following. And so, but I never heard anything back after that comment during the game last night, and it just got me thinking about this. Like, if you're a amateur based team right now in this country and you're looking for exposure, and you want, to raise the bar, you want to be someplace where everyone can find you and maybe be shuffled in with a whole bunch of other amateur teams. Wouldn't you want to be on our platform? Like, wouldn't you want to be there? Maybe the question's no. Maybe we don't care. Maybe, we want to be on our own, YouTube channel because we want to be a network and we want to be a team,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Michael asked a question. He goes, how does NSN balance distribution for that many broadcasts at the same time? Duct tape, and
prayers, hopes and prayers.
It's a conversation we're having right now. I mean, 2 years ago, we could only do one at a time, and there was a point last fall where we did 3 at a time. And I remember like, holy crap, like you were actually in Grand Rapids at Forest Hill Central doing one of those games. Another game was happening over here in Romeo.
Yep.
And I was like, man, we did 2. And the not the pain, but like the dealing with that was something. And then going from like, 2 to 3, that was another one. We did that. And then, we did last weekend, we did 6 at a time, 5 at a time. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. We have producers that sit in those chairs. They have to manage those games. To be fair, the actual game itself is fairly simple. It's leading up to the game.
Yeah.
The chaos of getting a feed into our environment, making sure it works properly, the chaos of getting communication with the teams. That's the biggest challenge. It's not the game is the game. They're relatively simple in that regard. But it's the communication with teams and roster management and all the other stuff that, to be fair, is the more challenging aspect of this. But I felt the need, this urge to talk about this today, because it's like, okay, you don't like me, and I get it. People don't want to always work with people they don't like. I get it. We have an organization now that's quite large. And yeah, I'm not someone that's my wife will probably tell you that, I oftentimes maybe will, hold grudges. I try not to paint that picture, in a public way. I try to paint that picture maybe privately, in the sanctity of my home or in this space where I might be like pissed off about something, but I try not to, maybe push that out, outside of like, our circle.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, obviously I apologize for that, but I don't want to hold grudges. I don't want to hold anything back. If the goal is to create and elevate and get exposure to these teams and these players, then let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find a way to make that work. I'm not unapproachable. I don't not like, I don't hate people. I don't hate teams. I don't hate organizations. I might not agree with something. I might not like something, but it doesn't mean that I can't figure out a way to work past that for the greater good.
Right.
And that's the thing that I wanted to make sure I say, because, and again, this wasn't necessarily geared towards Livonia City or anybody else. It's just, I know that there are teams out there that in the past we have worked with, and right now they're not working with us. And there could be many reasons behind that. It could be a financial reason. It could be we don't see the same, we don't align. There could be a number of reasons as to why you might not want to be on our platform and be a part of what we're doing. I just hope it's for the right reason and not the wrong one. I hope it's, because, I hope the reasoning is, and again, if I have to step aside, if I have to not be involved in that process, and somebody else on our team can handle your team and be a part of that process so that you feel comfortable, like your voice is being heard or you're being acknowledged, and it's not me, I am a big enough person to say, okay, I can step aside. I don't have to be a part of that. I can do that. I don't want that to be a reason as to why you don't want to be on our platform. You don't want to be a part of what we're doing, and I think it's important that I say that.
I think signals can sometimes get mixed. I think sometimes priorities can get mixed up too. And I think that really kind of plays into it, because the truth is what we do is not cheap by any stretch. None of it's cheap. I mean, hell, I've been places that the broadcast quality is so bad. And again, we talked about it yesterday. I talked about it with John Natale. Like, there's just some people that don't see why this is a necessity per se. They don't see necessarily what the value is in it of what we do. And when there's more value, sometimes there's a higher dollar sign associated with that. And, the truth is, and I'll just touch on the fact of you saying maybe there's people out there that don't like you, don't like doing business with you. I mean, like, even if, and first of all, in sales land, and I've learned this, sales and broadcasting land, you have to demand your space. In other words, you have to know you're there for a reason, and you have to carry yourself accordingly. Otherwise, you're never going to progress, right? And if you don't have those uncomfortable conversations, if you don't put those people in those positions, if you're not the squeaky wheel, it's just simply not going to happen. And, I'll say this, to people who have maybe gotten jobs in front of me in the past, or people that, who have sweet talked or politicized their way into getting something. in the moment, I might have been upset with them, but in the end, I end up respecting them because the truth is they just did everything that they possibly could in order to get that position. And unfortunately, I wasn't in a spot to do so. So yeah, your truth is you're going to rub people the wrong way. That's going to happen, and especially when there's money involved. Like we said, there's a lot of owners that, again, for one reason or another, they just, I guess, don't find the value in spending, this certain amount in order to get the product out of it. But the other thing is, I guess we're all kind of in this together too at the same time. So it's holding grudges isn't great. And that's another thing, it's I guess it's a good start that you realize that that you're not trying to be that way. I used to be that way a lot. I mean, I would hold grudges against everybody. It's not necessarily the same way anymore. I just don't care. I'm here to do what I do, and I'm going to give you my best pitch on why I should be the guy to cover your team or the guy to be in that spot. But, to your point, JT, if you don't want it or if you're not in on it, fine. There's another team, there's another club out there. But anytime there's money involved, anytime you're asking someone to spend money and you're trying to convince them, again, why it's important, why it matters, and that we could do it at a lower price. That's the other thing that I think, I think yeah.
And I was going to say this is that like a couple years ago, so Midwest Premier League, I've been trying to get them to work with us as a league for a number of years, and for whatever reason, it hasn't come to fruition. And I will continue to try, right? I will continue to make that work. But Midwest Premier League created this championship, right, where they play the host is Lansing Common, and I had found out that they were going to have this championship game. As the Michigan Soccer Network, I reached out to the Midwest Premier League and said I'd love to be able to do this game. I said I'm not looking to come in and take anything away from Lansing Common, but I do believe that we could do it better. And I remember I watched the game, and again, it was a very well done broadcast. It wasn't like a terrible broadcast, but I remember I reached out to Lansing Common, the call and said, hey, I'm disappointed that I was never given the opportunity to at least let you guys know what it is that we could have done. I feel like this game could have been way better, and I think that they took offense to that on some level because it's like you're basically saying our product wasn't good enough, and that wasn't my intention. My intention wasn't like, hey, I want, to say that your product was not good because it was good. Right. But with what we could have done, I felt we could have done it better. Mm-hmm. And that was my perspective. And knowing what I know, knowing what we do, knowing our broadcasts, I don't doubt that. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, I would imagine even they didn't doubt that. But the way that maybe I did it, they weren't maybe appreciative. They didn't appreciate it. Now we still have a great relationship with Lansing Common and Coffee Firm and those guys. So I'm not like, it's not like they held a grudge over it, but I understood why they might have taken. I mean, at the time, I maybe didn't understand why they didn't, like the feedback. But I was saying like, hey, we as an independent network can come in and help this process with your team to elevate this game, which could give, the league a better overall look and feel. Mm-hmm. And again, it didn't happen. And that's why I still struggle on some level. Why would not a league want that? Right? Mm-hmm. Why would a league not want to have that? Right. And it keeps coming back. And why? Because like everything in life, it comes down to a number of things that have nothing to do with soccer at all. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, sometimes it's not always about what you know; it's about who you know. Right? Let's be honest. I mean, if I didn't pick up my phone and reach out to you after I saw you on TikTok 2 years ago, you never would have had an opportunity to sit in a gym on a Thursday night in February calling a women's basketball game on ESPN Plus. right?
I don't know if I'd
it's
say
not-
never, but no, I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm
I'm just,
messing
even
with
if I, I'm just saying that.
you. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
know a lot,
Yep.
but it wasn't about what you knew. It's about who you knew.
Mm-hmm.
And how many opportunities have you gotten as a result of who you know, not what you know?
Pretty much
And
all of them. Yeah.
and again, if I had not known Neil Rule, I wouldn't have been in that press box two summers ago, where I would have saw the setup,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, I can improve this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I can improve this. And the Flint City Bucks is one of our strongest partners, right? They love what we do. They're all about what it is that we do, right? So I don't take that for granted, right? And now we're doing that all across the country, right? And when we talked, I mean, Bianca and I and Dan and I, we're all calling these teams across the country, and the vast majority of them are super excited about what we do. I mean, they are over their head, over their heels, over that, what do you want to call it? They love what we're doing and want to be a part of it. The ones that aren't loving what we do, okay, move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to work with us, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Production companies out there, I get it. You're like, well, here comes National Soccer Network. You want to take my business? I go, no, I don't want to take your business. I want to give you more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation yesterday with a production company. I'm like, hey, how many, setups do you have? We have 3. Well, we want to get a 4th one. Oh yeah. Well, how many more games do you have to have in order to get the 4th one?
Mm-hmm.
He's like 40. I go, okay, let's go find your 40 games then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What? I mean, and to be fair with what we do, right? I remember the early days of this where it took me 20 hours to produce one game.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics, building it, all that stuff, the setup, the tear down, the long nights, the shitty food, all those things. I mean, we still have long nights and shitty food, but I'm not doing all the other stuff. But
right.
But I mean, I remember those, and if someone said to me, John, all you have to do is show up with a camera and you can make X for a couple hours of work. And you can still do the rest of it. You can still do your own thing, but you could do, 100 games a year where you're just showing up, making some money and going home. I would probably say, yeah, I mean, yeah, there might be some growing pains in that, but it's, I mean, if you didn't know this, but most of your Roto-Rooters or your, like Mr. Plumbers, what do you want to call it? Those are all subcontractors
Mm-hmm.
who subcontract out for that company, who receive free leads and they show up to these houses, they do that work. They're their own plumbing company, but they happen to also be a Roto-Rooter.
Mm-hmm.
Because Roto-Rooter realized in order for this to work, they would need to have 1,000 plumbers nationwide. So they just, do you want to be a Roto-Rooter plumber? I do. Fantastic. Here's how it works. And they're busy. Probably 80% of their calls are Roto-Rooter calls.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They make money.
Mm-hmm.
That model still, it works out for those plumbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you do these DTE or consumer energy plans, they're not like consumers coming to your house. It's mom and, dad's, electrician is coming.
Right.
And they're a subcontractor of DTE.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's like you're getting free leads. And if you go to that, and again, I'm assuming, you go to the house, hey, if you need a problem, come, call me. I mean, you probably can't do that. You get yourself in trouble and lose that opportunity. But I mean, it's a great opportunity to be busy, So
yeah.
That's why
it's a blessing. Honestly, it keeps you alive. That's someone actually said that to me once. They go, the ability to work, the ability to get up and move around and do things keeps you alive. It keeps you young. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you happy. I feel like the worst place to be is when we were in 2020 or even when you just go through those stretch where there's nothing to do, which I don't run into much anymore. Fortunately, thank goodness. But yeah, there's nothing that feels worse than that. So you're right. I mean, it's it's messy, the political side of everything. It is messy, and you do your best to not try and rub people the wrong way or help people out, but not everybody wants help. That's the other side too.
Yeah, I know it's true. And we had, people don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of how we have conversations and how we try, but we have tried to work with organizations, who maybe could use a helping hand, who could maybe are looking for more stability in their way that they do things. We have offered guidance and support to many organizations who needed help. When I say needed help, they needed a pointer on something. I needed to have a conversation about the technical aspect of something.
Mm-hmm.
We help them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to, curtail what somebody else is trying to do. Some are receptive to it, some are not. And over the years, though those conversations with some have fallen apart, and others continue to flourish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, and all I can say is this: is that I I'm always going to leave a door open. I don't close doors. I try not to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's perceived as that, but I always say that the door is open. I'm not going to close a door on something.
Mm-hmm.
It might need some time for me to maybe kind of reevaluate how wide the door might be open.
Yep.
But the door's always open. I'm not going to close opportunities. This thing is way bigger than me. And I do believe that I have a responsibility not only for this organization, for our company, and for the game, and for the people who are part of it, but also for the game, for us to find ways to work with organizations that even maybe right now don't believe it makes sense to work with us, and maybe just wait for that to make sense in a year or two, or 6 months from now,
Mm-hmm.
or in 10 years, because maybe it might take that long for an organization to say, man, I could have really used your help back then. I wish I would have saw that insight, or I had the insights to say yes then, but I'm ready now.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I don't know I don't know what it looks like, you know, I don't know, but we'll do everything we can as an organization to be welcoming, to be engaged, and to be a good partner in this industry.
Yeah.
So that's my commitment. As the president and founder, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I know you. The truth is we're going to show up and we're going to do the best that we can to give the best exposure that we can. I mean, the things that we've done already, the stuff that I've been a part of, like it's all with a goal and with an aim of elevating the businesses and the people that we're around. Like it's not, if you think I'm in this for the money, guys, if I was about the money, if either of us were about the money, we shouldn't be in sports. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. If you really think that it's about the money, there's a lot of money elsewhere. There's a lot of money in other places, but we're not kidding when we say that the reason why we do this is because, number one, we want to elevate teams, but we also want to get everybody together on the same page, because that's the only way to really start to kind of get this ball rolling in the direction that we want it to, whether that be growing the sport itself or whether that be giving, certain teams exposure. I mean, the truth of the matter is that, JT, I didn't even know how many soccer teams were around me in my area. You know what I mean? Like there's so many leagues, there's so many teams, but they don't have any exposure. They don't have any namesake. They don't have people that are going out and doing anything with them. So why it would be seen as a bad thing that we would show up and demand a fair amount, but only to put a better product out there. I think it's just scary. Like I said, it's scary for the people who don't maybe understand it. It's not necessarily that we're doing, but they have things that they've done a certain way for the longest time. So going away from that, I'm sure is kind of freaky for some of them. So that's the uphill fight, the uphill battle that we are fighting, what seems like every day. But that's a part of it, especially when you talk about a company in the growth stage. That is a huge component of it.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. Episode number 74 is officially in the books. I want to thank you for stopping by here today. I know, Nathan, you are not available tomorrow, but John, Natalia, and I will be back on here tomorrow morning here at 9 a.m. for episode number 75, just 5 episodes away from number 80. So we'll do that here tomorrow. Be back at it again on Friday as well. But Inside the Game, Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on the National Soccer Network. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku. But for Nathan Wangler, I'm Jonathan Turner. Thanks for stopping by. And hey, if you want us to broadcast one of your games, let us know, because we can do what we did for the Mission Stars last night for your team as well.
Love the pitch.
All right, boss. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here on Inside the Game. This has been a presentation of the National Soccer Network.